Hello, my name's Ann Cleeves, and I'm here to talk to Martin Edwards, the recent winner of the Diamond Dagger Award. Martin, I know that you've been writing for a long time, and I know your passion for crime fiction goes back a very long way. So tell us what winning this most prestigious of CWA awards means to you.
Well, thanks, Anne. It does mean a great deal to me. I'm thrilled that you're the person presenting virtually the award since we've known each other for so long, and our crime writing careers have to some extent gone along in parallel. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that as well. But really for me, this is a wonderful, joyful moment in a very long and winding road. That journey began when I was 8 years old and discovered Agatha Christie. And really that was the moment when, as someone who loves stories, I thought I would like to make up a story, a detective story, just like Agatha Christie, and so that was the inspiration to me at that tender age, and I soon got to work, and I still have the early masterpieces that I wrote as a small boy, featuring a detective called Melwyn Hughes and his faithful chum Sir Edward Gladstone, and it's a shameless rip-off of Agatha Christie and Sherlock Holmes, basically. And there was a series of these books, very strangely never published.
So it was always traditional crime fiction that you went for, even though you branched out and did different things a bit later. I'm really glad that you've gone back to your roots with Gallows Court and Mortmain Hall.
Yes, that was the starting point. In those early days, Christie and Sherlock were the first crime stories that I read, and of course they were a big influence, and I remain a big fan of both of them. And it was a little later, after Melwyn Hughes, that I came across the writers who were then contemporary novelists, people like Julian Simmons and Michael Gilbert, both of whom themselves winners of the Diamond Dagger, and both of whom writers I've been delighted to bring back in the British Library Crime Classics series. So I moved on to contemporary crime fiction, but the traditional crime fiction was really where it all began for me, and still remains a huge pull. And as you say, that those are the books I've started writing again in the last year or two.
Yeah, I can remember pretty well very soon after we first met, you telling me that sometimes you dreamed of finding an Agatha Christie that you'd never read before, which seemed quite odd.
Yes, I'm afraid so, shamelessly odd. And I did have that dream many times. Now, of course, there are new Agatha Christie novels being written by a number of different hands, so there's no shortage of them. But it was an obsession from a young age, and the idea of loving reading the books and loving writing the stories really for me went hand in hand, as I imagine it did in a different way for you.
Absolutely, yes. I was always a crime reader. I was never a Christie fan, though. I know you were passionate. I just find her so cold, so ruthless, and not just very pleasant. She kills schoolgirls. She does serial killers. It's not my bag at all. But I know that it's the plots that you love, and it's the plots that you love writing too.
That's right. I discovered in one of those early stories, I actually wrote a floor plan in one of the stories, and as you know, I mentioned to you the other week, I was delighted to find that one of them is set at Christmas in a country house in Northumberland, and anticipating.
I didn't nick it from you.
By some time, your wonderful latest novel featuring the marvellous Vera Stanhope.
And you've got a clue finder in your most recent novel, which takes us right back, doesn't it, to the golden age?
That's right. The idea of the clue finder was, and it cropped up in the 20s and the 30s, and then it kind of died out as the golden age came to an end. But the idea was playing fair with the reader, giving the reader all the clues to solve the mystery, but trying to hide hide the clues in plain sight and misdirect the reader's attention. And then at the back of the book, to show the reader where the clues were, there was a list of the clues and page references and so on. And that's something that's always amused me. And I thought one day I'd love to write a book with a clue finder of my own. So in Mortmain Hall, which has this this classic detective element, I had the chance to do it. And so I seized it. And so there's a clue finder at the end of Mortmain Hall with no fewer than 34 different clues, and I'm always fascinated to talk to readers and find out how many of them they've spotted. Great fun.
Let's talk a bit about the Golden Age of Murder, because I think that was the huge book that really brought together your knowledge and your expertise and your passion for the genre, because that's a non-fiction book. I think most viewers will know, where you look into the social history of crime writing. Can you tell us a bit about how that came about?
Yes, well, I've always had this love of the genre, as I've mentioned, and I was a great admirer of Julian Simmons' book Bloody Murder, and the only fan letter I ever wrote to him when I was in my early 20s was about that book, and he sent me a very, very kind reply that I was very appreciative of, and discussed his thought processes. I always had in mind the idea of writing a book about the genre. Andrew Taylor, a wonderful crime writer whom we both know and admire, suggested to me back in the 90s that I might have a go at it, and that stayed in my mind. So probably about 15, 16 years ago, I started working on a history of the Golden Age, and it seemed like unpromising territory, because my first series, contemporary series of detective novels set in Liverpool, featuring a lawyer called Harry Devlin, those books had Golden Age elements and Golden Age plots, but nobody ever commented on them. It was just the gritty Liverpool setting that was discussed, which I found a little frustrating. But the Golden Age was very much out of fashion. So I was writing this book really to please myself and interest myself, rather than from any great hopes of having it published. And certainly my agent didn't give me any particular encouragement at the time that it would be published, and was keen for me to concentrate on the fiction. But I kept on writing, just didn't tell her much about it. And in the end, after about 10 years, she'd retired, another agent had taken over the business, and he said he thought he might be able to sell it. By this time, it had become the Golden Age of Murder. It had turned into a study of the Detection Club members in the 1930s. You and I both joined the Detection Club on the very same day. It's a wonderful piece of symmetry again in our careers. And to my delight, he was able to sell it to HarperCollins, and to my astonishment, it did really well, and it was an attempt to tell a story, not just the dry history of the books, but about the people, their lives, and how the world around them influenced their fiction. I think it's often been suggested that Golden Age fiction is characterless and cosy and conventional and conservative, and I tried to argue in the Golden Age of Murder that very often, certainly in the better books, it's none of those things. There's a lot more to those books than meets the eye. That was a very unfashionable view at one time, but I'm glad to say that it's gaining ground now. And the Golden Age of Murder was a wonderful point in my career, because it was the first time, after many years of flying under the radar, that a book of mine had attracted such a level of international attention and awards.
It is a brilliant book. Perhaps I think we should perhaps say at this point that Martin has done a lot of the work that we crime writers really don't want to do. So you've sat on committees, you've been on the committee of the CWA, you're president of the Detection Club, and those things that I wouldn't touch with a barge pole, because I know how much work they would be, but you were willing to take them on. Can you tell us why that was?
Well, I've always found the company of crime writers to be to be a wonderful blessing in my life. It was something I dreamed of for many years, long before I met crime writers. And when I first joined the Crime Writers Association in the late 1980s, I went to a Northern chapter meeting, the very first one actually, and there I met three men who became not only great influences but great friends. And they were Peter Walker, who wrote the books that Heartbeat, the TV series, was based on, Robert Barnard, Bob Barnard, a very witty writer, Diamond Dagger winner, and Reginald Hill, creator of the Ellen Pascoe. And they were very supportive and encouraging. I was rather overawed by them to begin with, but they were very supportive, and really their encouragement made a huge difference to me in my career. And it's the memory of that support that I received from those people and from a number of others, including Michael Gilbert, Harry Keating, people like that, that made me very conscious of the importance of the Crime Writers Association as a body which has, I think now 800, 900 members. It continues to grow. But of course, only a very few of those members are household names. And for many crime writers, life isn't easy. It's often tough. And you and I have both seen over the years of our career many fine, wonderful writers we both admired just drop out because of the stresses and the strains. And so I think that contributing to organisations that can offer a kind of support network for writers is something I find really attractive, and trying to bring to those organisations some of the experience I've had in my other life in business, and trying to get them fit for purpose financially, so that they can operate effectively and offer more benefits to the members. That's what it's all about, and seeing that happen is very rewarding, and really that's the motivation. That it's I'm not really a natural committee person by any means, but the contact with fellow writers, the friendships, the relationships you develop seem to me to be enormously valuable, and we all need them, because crime writing is, as you know, it's a career with ups and downs, and sometimes many more downs than ups. And it's
very precarious.
that support from our friends, from our colleagues, and from people we don't necessarily know terribly well, that's really valuable, particularly in the darker moments. And you know, today you're a global star. You're when allowed, you're jetting off all over the world, attending festivals, winning awards, topping bestseller lists in different countries, TV shows in countless different countries. But you too have seen the other side of crime writing life. We've talked about it many times in the early years of our career. I'm sure you'll agree that it's that kind of support network, whether it's the CWA, whether it's Murder Squad, a group of Northern crime writers we've both been members of for 20 years, or the Detection Club, or anything else. It's really valuable. And also, of course, connecting with the readers. So the CWA has the Crime Readers Association, and through that is able to bring its members in touch with readers and vice versa. And again, that's a really valuable function, I think, and enormously helpful, particularly to the writers who are finding it hard to make a name for themselves.
Let's just finish. We've looked a lot at the past. Let's finish by asking what next. What's next for Martin Edwards? What are you writing now?
Well, I'm working on a history of the genre, which I've been working on, not just the Golden Age, but the whole thing, which I've been working on for quite a number of years, and maybe working on for quite a while yet. But that's a major project, but one I'm really excited about. And in terms of fiction, I've got a new Lake District novel coming out next year called The Crooked Shore. That's a return to the Lake District after a number of years away. And then I'm hoping to be writing the next book in the Rachel Savernake and Jacob Flint series. So at the moment I've got a number of ideas for that book, and I'm hoping to start writing on the day that in the story much of the action happens, All Souls Eve. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And what about you, Anne? What next for Vera and your Devon series?
I've just finished the first draft of the new Devon book, and I'm just waiting to get some editors' comments back. So that's always a nervous time.
Oh, we know.
Martin, thanks so much for chatting to us. Congratulations on the Diamond Dagger, and look forward to reading lots more of your books.
Thanks very much, Anne. I do appreciate it. Thank you.